The community challenge announcement book cover theme is going to be an old theme we did before, but with a twist to it. It's going to be a conversation with a dragon. So we have done this in the past. Conversation with a dragon is a really, really cool theme because it's very, very balanced between environment and character design. So the community challenge is going to be a book cover challenge. Basically, you guys are supposed to design a 6x9, I think, the ratio, book cover. It can't be a horizontal, it has to be a vertical book cover. You are going to, you guys are going to pick the theme. So you guys are going to pick the environment, one of 3 environments. So you're going to have 3 choices for environments. I'm sorry. And my writing. And then you're going to have a choice between like a creature character or a character. You're gonna have a lot of liberty over the creative stuff. But so the character type, so you guys can choose the character type. And it's going to be basically a vertical book cover assignment, but it's a title, author, everything. But I'd like for you guys to try different options. I'd like for you guys to do something new with it. So the conversation with the dragon posts from last, like maybe 6 years ago. We had another theme. You guys can find it in the community challenge playlist. I have a whole playlist for all the community challenges we've ever done. But usually all of the book covers were kind of flat. So you'd have the dragon on one side and you'd have the character on another. A dragon on one side, character on another side. It looks nice, you know, the dragon would be right here and the character and all that. It looks nice. But this time around, I want you guys to try something a little bit more crazy dynamic with the camera. And maybe the camera is worm's eye. You know, so like the character is on a rock or a rock formation or a plateau of some kind, and the dragon is right here. This is a bird's eye view of a dragon for fear of making it look wrong. I'm going to give you guys 3 choices for pre-made portrait studio layouts, and you guys are going to use those 3 layouts. So you guys are going to be given the camera angle this time. All you got to do is just be creative with it. And I think that's going to be nice. Usually I tell you guys camera angle, camera angle, camera angle. If you guys have ever watched the history of community challenges, I'm always talking about the camera angle. So this time around, I'm going to talk about something else and give you the camera angle. Give you guys something to work with. It's not going to be a very difficult camera angle. I'm not going to give you extreme worm's eye, extreme bird's eye, but I am going to give you something interesting. Like maybe the character is standing right there with their billowy cloak, and the dragon is something like we see like most of the neck of the dragon and the claws of the dragon. We barely see their face or something like that, and then like the eyes of the dragon are some cool looking sci-fi looking dragon. And that's another thing that you guys are allowed to do. You guys are allowed to make it a sci-fi, make it a fantasy, make it cutesy. It's all up to you. The theme, the choice for the environment, meaning you can make it a summit of some kind, high mountain range, and the dragon is coiling around the character with the suggested camera angles. Or you can make it a deep cavernous molten lava type place, and the character is talking to the dragon. Or you guys can make it in outer freaking space. The requirements are that you follow the camera angles, you think about scale, you think about the size of the dragon and the size of the character. But that's your book cover assignment for the next 2 months. The due date for this is not yet decided because I just want to see, but it'll most likely be end of April. just because there's so much involved in this. A lot of you guys come from different skill backgrounds, so I don't want to make it due in like a couple of weeks or a month or end of or mid-March or something. That feels like a little bit too early for such a big scale project. The winners will be given portfolio reviews with me. They will be given Portrait Studio copy for free. You'll see it in action today. They'll be given one of my master classes for free. They will be given my brushes for free. And usually and then they'll be attending the live stream itself with me on call, talking to me on the live stream, helping me critique you the rest of the pieces. I don't pick winners based off how good they draw, like quote unquote good they draw. I pick based off the spirit that I see inside the illustration. Did they, did they give it their all? Did they really try? Did they push? Did they take their artistic education seriously? Do they show all of the work that went into it, the mood boards, the thumbnails? Did they ask questions? Were they regular with their questions on the subreddit? Those are the winners that win everything. Well, there's one winner. I don't have time to do two winners, but there is one winner. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have fun with this one. And remember that you are required to submit a mood board full of references, different thumbnails for how you're going to lay out. I mean, I give you the general parameters of the camera angles to pick from, but maybe how you lay things out, maybe how you break a little bit of the rules in there, which you are allowed to be creative with the camera angles within reason. And make sure you post your references, your inspiration. If you wanted to pick from a master and mimic something they do, make sure you copy down the master and reference and credit them. All of that stuff for the next 2 months is going to be all about dragons here in this community channel. And I can't wait to see what you guys do. I can't wait to see what you guys create. You guys always blow me away every single time. Can't wait. So that's the announcement. It will be submitted to the subreddit. So if you want to participate, all you got to do is go to, if I can find it, Boomerbrak. If I can find it, all you got to do is go to my website, Istebrak.com, and click on the subreddit icon right here. That'll take you to my subreddit where you can participate. And that's where I picked today's pieces to critique. I'll be taking a look at this one and a look at this one, with the help of Portrait Studio. My masterclass is on sale. It won't be on sale forever. It's the sale, that winter sale that I did, is going to end on the 28th of February. That is the final day. It'll be at the price it is right now. That's because I just need to be fair to myself, but also I kept it on sale for everybody for a really long time, just because of the way things are in the world. I don't feel comfortable charging so much, especially if it's students who need free education that find me, and then I'm over here charging a lot. But I do have to be fair to the amount of work I put into my masterclass. So I've been sending out my apologies to you guys, bowing and thanks to everyone, and also bowing an apology. I eventually the price does have to go back to normal. So let's take a look at this piece today. So I have just one thing to fix with it. I've been doing multiple pieces lately. I'm kind of like crazy. When we look at characters who smile in a painting, we should not be focusing on the teeth, but you made it so that we are focusing on the teeth. Why does this happen? This happens because when we look at a person speaking or smiling in front of us, yes, we look at the teeth. Most of all, between human interactions, people maintain eye contact for the majority of the time they're communicating. So the eyes really is where it all happens. So that's why when we paint as if we're seeing everything with the naked eye. We're not seeing things the way a camera sees them. So I really need that to sink in. I need that to be spread out to everyone. Tell everybody you know. Don't paint as if you are painting like a camera sees things. A camera sees everything. All right? So a camera sees everything. All right, so let's just look at a person smiling on Google. I hate using Google. Google's like crazy these days. But let's take a look. A person smiling. We see everything, right? But if this was real life, you'd only see one thing at a time, either his eyes, or maybe you dart to the smile and you look back up into the eyes, especially if it's somebody you like or love. Okay, you instantly, yeah, you look at the smile, it's beautiful, but then you look back up into the eyes. Even in this camera, though, we're not really focusing that much on the teeth. And you should not paint the way the camera sees. You should paint as if you're seeing things with the naked eye. Painting with the naked eye means that we're only looking at one thing at a time. Write that back to me. When you look at one thing at a time, can anyone explain what happens to everything else? You haven't moved your eyes. What happens to everything else if you look at one thing at a time? And only that one thing. You don't shift your eyes. You're only looking at his eyes, and that's it. What happens to everything else? Can anybody guess? I ask questions so that I can sneak a sip of my coffee. Oh, hi. Hi, Benny. What do you mean it looks bad? Uses ad revenue to plant trees. Ecosia. Ooh, I should start using that. I use the most basic stuff and it's all going evil, like Google and Adobe, you know. I should stop using this crap. Out of focus, exactly. So everything gets out of focus when we are looking at one thing at a time. So right now, I dare you, look at this guy's face, or let's just, okay. This, I don't know what Google, where Google's going to take me. I'm kind of scared. But look at this guy's face right here. Open link in new tab. Okay. Look only at his eyes. What happens to the rest of his face? But don't move your eyes. It gets blurry. And so we go back to your piece. We go back to what you drew. And we can see real issues here. All right. What are the issues? The teeth are high detail. You've got an unusual smile because it seems like you're trying to do low angle, but it's not really working. There's a lot of things going on here. And the detail in the gums is very dark. It's as dark as the lines you use for the dark spots. We go back to those references, we don't see that. So the first thing we have to do, if you don't want to change anything else in your image, I don't know why you submitted something so small. You lose points for submitting low res to Istebrak because she's over here trying to teach y'all. Please don't torment her. Okay, so what we do is we get like a lighten. I'm going to just get a pink. I'm going to reduce opacity, and I'm just going to lighten the gums. What that's going to do is make the smile feel more whole. Because unfortunately, whether you intended it or not, a smile where, even if it's a perfect set of teeth, where you show too much black in the gums and the space between the teeth, ends up looking like that's real space between the teeth and pretty like gnarly teeth. No offense to anybody with space between their teeth. I love all kinds of teeth. I'm so inclusive. I love your teeth. Okay, I am so in love with your fucking teeth. But please don't make these mistakes in your painting because it's going to add up and it's going to make the painting look a little bit weird. So I just want you to take a look at the smile for 2 seconds. And you see the before? It was too dark. We see teeth like this when somebody's been smoking for a long time, when there's stuff in their teeth, when they're bleeding in their mouth, the gums get a little bit darker and there's darkness between each tooth, when they don't floss. I don't know. Okay, no offense. I'm not trying to make anybody feel insecure. Please, it's just art. Y'all are beautiful. So that's the first mistake that you made. All right, so we're getting rid of that. You can keep the cavity of the mouth dark because that's a real black. That's a real dark value. That's a real hole in the face. But if you go and use a black that is also communicating a hole for gums, you're telling us there's spaces here. Not telling us, not us, our brains. because our brains are interpreting this. You know, in a map, what's that thing called in a map that tells you all of the weird symbols in a map? Is it called a key or a compass? It's not a compass. Compass is the north, south, east, west. It's called a key, right? Or a legend? Is it called a legend? I think it's called a legend. I don't know. But that's how your brain is interpreting the black you use. There's a legend in the map of the way your brain is interpreting all the form delivered here. And that same information you said is used for all cavities. You used it for something as delicate, as pink, as, no, it's not always pink, but as hidden as gums. I've seen people with very dark gums. It's not, I'm not saying that they look bad. I'm just saying that the space in between the teeth is really where you damage the smile. Usually we paint as if we're painting perfect everything. So if you are painting in the sense to paint a character, this is your drawing, you seem like you're going for somebody perfect, that's what we would do. So let's take a look at, let me just load in another character. Let's take a look at what you did with the head. So she's smiling, she's looking at us, the camera is low. So let's position this character in exactly the same way. Oopsie. Wrong one. Okay. So she's smiling, she's looking right at us. I'm going to lay the light right on her. And I'm going to tilt her head upward. Tilt it over. And she's kind of just doing this, right? She's kind of just doing that. Maybe she's like tilting her body like, hey, you took so long to get here. Hope you're okay. And so I feel like she's, I don't know. And she's just like kind of talking to us. Okay, so let me turn off the joints. So what happens is this is no longer an overlap edge. This is a paper fold edge. An overlap edge is when you have an object in front of another object. The head is in front of the background. The chin is no longer in front of the neck. So we got to get rid of this harsh line. The chin is now beside the neck. Do you understand the difference I'm making? The chin here is in front of the neck. This is an overlap edge. You guys following me? This is Portrait Studio, by the way. It's also on sale, but it won't be on sale after February. Right? So this is no longer an overlap edge. Another miscommunication of the key of the map of your drawing you've done. Because it's not working. This is not, she's lifted her head up. We're seeing her from a low angle. So we're not seeing that edge anymore. Another thing I want you to look out for is the position of the ear and the nose. Okay? Do you see that? So when I lower the camera, what's happening? Okay, when I lower the camera, son of a bitch. I guess I can't do it. I forgot that I cannot do it while that's open. All right. When I lower the camera again, or lower her, take a look now. The ears are now in between the eyes and the nose. Okay? So right here, what's happening is that it's just a little bit confusing where you place the ears. Let's remember again where the ears were. Clear canvas. When we tilted the head up, they were along the line of the mouth. Okay? Between the nose and the mouth. And here, they're between the eyes and the nose. So some quick fixes would be this. So lighten, get rid of that line. She's tilted her head up, so we wouldn't see a line anymore. We would see a shadow. we would see something like a shadow for sure. So something like that, maybe. We would see a gentle shadow, a softer edge, maybe many layers of value overlapped. You see how that looks a little bit more natural because the neck and the chin eventually unite if the head tilts up a little bit further. And then the ears. So the ears look like cute little bear ears. They don't look like human ears. So I'm just going to bring them down. When a head tilts down, the ears go down. Sorry, let me just rephrase that. When a head tilts back, the ears go down. When a head tilts up, when a head tilts forward, the ears go up. I'm so sorry. There's so many emotions going on in my brain. It's hard to recall which one's which. Okay, and then because of this, I'm going to show more nostril. And then we can talk about the expression. So I personally think you overdid the structure of the face, which made the character look a little bit older. So I'm just going to smoothen that out and kind of get rid of that banding. She is smiling, so we need laugh lines. Not laugh lines, but they're more like laugh contours. But I'm going to try to make her mouth look a little bit less oversized. So I got rid of those extra edges. Too many edges for such a simple smile. And I think proportionally, the mouth was way too big. She's barely fully smiled and her mouth is this open. What does her mouth look like when she fully opens it? Do you see what I'm saying? So it was really big for a mouth that's barely smiled yet. She's just kind of like, okay, she's talking, she's smiling, but her mouth, if she looks like a kind of a puppet mouth, it's too much. And if she's talking and smiling, yes, you can see the bottom teeth. I can see my bottom teeth when I speak. But if I'm smiling from a low angle, I should not be able to see the bottom teeth of the character because we're low angle. The lips are in front of the teeth now. So you're kind of telling different stories every time for different features of what's actually going on in the perspective. You're not keeping track of the perspective. And the smile ends up looking very, very unnatural. So we're looking at it from a low angle, so we're seeing much less of the lower teeth, more of the upper teeth, okay? And then I'm trying to keep that crooked smile you added. All right, and then for the eyebrows, I think you're trying to do too much expression with the eyebrows. You're trying to do like 4 different expressions with the eyebrows. Pick 2 and give it 1 for each eyebrow. That's the way to paint interesting characters. All right, so one eyebrow can be just curious, like this one, and one can be a little bit more calm. She's excited to see you, but, you know, she's not like also confused, also angry. You know, that's kind of what it felt like you were doing. Too many expressions at the same time. Okay, and so I'm going to blend the start of the eyebrows just here so they look a little bit more natural. So all I'm doing is reining in all the extra work you did. And a big part of becoming a professional artist is knowing how to bring in the right amount of work, how to stop, how to not overdo it, when to just not do more, you know, like to be a little bit more graceful, but also still supply the skill that you're expected to supply. All right, and then another thing I would say is the white in the eyes. So when we smile, we kind of squint, and she's really, really squinting. So what I'm going to do is just give her more of a squint. She seems like she's really focused on you while smiling. But when we laugh, we're kind of in a vulnerable state, so we don't really open our eyes and stare at somebody while we're smiling. And I think that's what made her face look a little bit uncomfortable to look at as well. Her eyes were highly, highly focused. For the style you're going for, I think the iris is a touch too small. But Yeah, it was just, you were trying to do too much at the same time, all at the same time. When we laugh, the fluid in our eyes, when we squint, end up jumbling together, creating almost like a glittering in the eyes when we smile. So I would say focus more on the glittering of an eye when we smile than the hyper-focused detail. Okay? And then I would say that the lips, the teeth could be hidden just a little bit more in the corners. So we do have these like recession shadows as the teeth go back inside the mouth, as the teeth rotate away from the camera. And so I'm just adding that shadow because the lips cast a shadow. You already have a nice shadow over the lips, but you need it in the corners as well. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to clean up a little bit on those wrinkles you've got and maybe highlight around the eyebrow. Another thing I would say that you need to focus on is sort of her position against the background. So now that things are kind of evened out, I think we can afford to highlight some stuff. Really, I would just want to see more light presence. It could be as easy as bringing in some of that sunlight from the top, just something like that, and darkening the lower half. The neck shadow could extend a little bit more this way since all the other stuff is moving from that same direction. So darken. Okay, just like that. But I think I would leave it there. Since that's the style you want to land at, I'm going to just leave it at that for you and then blur that shadow. So let's take a look at the before and after really quickly. Okay, so image size, 2000. Okay, so before, after. It looked a little bit vampiric. It looked a little bit like the mouth was really the focus here. Almost creature-like. Do you see what I'm saying? So before, after, before, after. I feel like it looks a little bit easier on the eyes now that we look at it. You may feel like you lost some things in the changes. I'm not sure if you were going for a character that looked vampiric. If you do watch this critique hour, leave a comment. I love when the original artist does. I'm just going to expand the shadow here. And I feel like we could really, benefit from hearing your side of things. I'm trying to make sure we're not seeing too much of an edge. But before, after, before, after. I hope you guys understand what I mean when I say the teeth shouldn't be noticed. I'm not trying to say dark gums are ugly. I'm trying to say that there's a limit to the amount of things you can do that are real in real life that just won't pass in the world of your painting. Okay, before, after. Just makes her look a little bit more soft and approachable. Even if she is a tough girl or something, it's not so hard to look at. Okay. Then we've got this one. So I know your name, so I'm gonna call out your name. I'm gonna call you out, Enrique. Enrique. I'm gonna just get rid of your name real quick because I want to edit a lot of stuff and I don't want a bunch of text hanging out. No offense, Enrique. Enrique's the man. We're just gonna get rid of his. Or maybe it's a woman. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So what I'm going to do is select the character. I'm going to try to select the character from the background. And I want to try different poses. But let's just talk about the things I don't understand. So she's holding things, she's holding her staff in a very classic Michelangelo type way, kind of like a strong character holding something gently. That's something that he did a lot. Or a strong character standing in a feminine way. Really, really classic Michelangelo. What we see here is a very masculine female holding something very delicately that looks very heavy and is also breaking a joint in her arm to hold it on the other side in a way that we can still see her boobs. So lots of stuff is being broken. This is no longer classical mixed themes. It's not like the way they did it back then. You're going to have to do something else with this arm, because if you really want this arm to be holding the staff, we need to see that arm in front of the breast. So I can prove that to you. No. All right. All right. So, yes. Why? Why? All right. And then figure. So if she's standing in a way where she's holding, so let me get this arm in position. It rotates a little bit. It moves in front. It bends forward. Do you see what's happening? It's going to push on the breasts. So there's going to be a bending in the forearm and a forward bend in the forearm to hold the staff. And then this forearm bent a little bit, bent again, if I remember correctly. Did that, did this, did that, and then kind of did a little bit of a thing in the wrist, okay, to hold this object. I think that's what that character was doing. Okay, maybe the wrist was bent this way and then bent forward. All right. So do you see how that breast is hidden? It's just, it doesn't work the way you drew it. So let me try to get this exactly in the exact, super exact angle that you tried to do. So if I were to bend this arm with the bend back down, it's no longer really holding the staff unless we move the staff or the hammer. Do you see how it feels like the arm has left its socket and gone under the breast, elongated, just to hold, and bent the wrist on top of that. So this is a very long arm compared to this one, just to be able to hold that staff the way you did it. So the way that it would have worked is if she was, holding the staff in such a way that the elbow might be able to rotate out, something like that. And then we can hold the hammer. But this is no way to hold a hammer. This is the way to hold a staff, which is why I kept saying staff. It feels like she's holding something that's very heavy in a way that it feels very light. Oh, but she's strong. Look at her muscles. So why is she holding such a lightweight weapon if she's so strong? Her weapon should still be heavy to her. It would be impossible for us, but it would be heavy to her. So she's holding it as if it's like a stop sign, like she's a crossing guard. You see what I'm saying? So you have so much beautiful detail here, but the most base fundamental anatomy has been ignored for the sake of some of the themes you want to represent. So it's hard to tell where to begin in fixing it, but I would say I would stop treating the hammer as if it's a sign. So this is going to be tricky, but I want to do it. So how do I? Okay, so what I'm going to do is make the hammer vertical so it actually looks like a hammer. Increase the size of this forearm. Right? You have access to all these layers, so you should be able to do this much better than I am. Let's go ahead and get the blocker. And let's clean up. Okay, so that's step one. Let's make the hammer look heavy, because it doesn't look heavy anymore. Okay. That's step one. Step two would be, let us change the pose and the position and the size and pretty much everything about the other arm. All right, so I'm just trying to make this work. So the other arm, I'm just going to finish this. Actually, we'll leave it. Needs to find another thing to do. So let's select that. Oh, brother. Okay. And I'm going to lift that up. I'm going to disconnect the elbow, push it out, put the shoulder pad. Is that a shoulder pad? Is that what you call it? A pauldron? Is it a pauldron? What's it called in armor? What kind of armor is this? All right, so I'm just cleaning, clean, squish, squish, squish. Right, pencil? And then I'm going to put this arm in a better spot. So, like right there. So that she's just doing a classic hero stance, you know, like a Napoleon arm on the hip type thing. And then finally, I'll do the forearm somewhere there. Do you see how that makes a little bit more sense? Feels a little bit nicer. But you wanted it all. When you went to the buffet and you filled your plate with all the food in the buffet, and you were wondering why you weren't feeling good after. This is exactly what you did here. You wanted the cool pose, you wanted the hyper detail, you wanted the background, you wanted the boobs and the pinup and everything else. You wanted the muscles and the beauty. You wanted do you see what I'm saying? You reached for too much, you took too much, and your painting has suffered. So sometimes it's okay, in fact, even graceful, to pick a basic pose and decorate everything around the pose. For sure. That looks great. That looks calm. That looks like a calm artist. This is an artist with a calm demeanor in the way they decide. Everything else you did not feel like a calm decision. You picked everything and just blasted it all the way to max every time. So like it's information overload. Every time we're looking at this drawing, it really feels like that. It feels like we're getting way more information than we need. It's purple. It's an alien environment. It's you know, you're trying everything. You did it all. Fantasy, sci-fi. Like you're doing too much, and you're painting so well, and the too much that you're doing is hiding the stuff that you painted really well. If you want to show detail, you have to simplify some elements. You can't over detail everything. So what I'm doing right now is I am trying to show where this character is against the background. So I'm just going to pick the value of the tree. And I think there's like some kind of, I could be wrong, some kind of cape as well in the background that she's wearing. And then I need to make sure it doesn't look like a crossing sign. And it actually looks like a hammer. So it looks more like a scepter, I'll be honest, than it does a weapon, you know, a super duper Valkyrie hammer. It doesn't feel like a Valkyrie hammer. It feels like a more of a ceremonial staff. because of the way you drew the thickness of it. Then there's also the values. They're very, 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 very muddy. Muddy means that you're trying to use a color that has no business being the color because of the value underneath it. So the blue looks great, but the yellow looks a little bit off. It looks very muddy. If there was this kind of, really foggy alien environment, I guess at that point I can't say anything. But at the end of the day, it just feels like you're forcing colors to be shiny and sunlit, but also moonlit and nighttime. So if it is an alien environment, you're still allowed to have a bright sky. And so that might help you with the muddiness and everything. Maybe even help you silhouette her in the shade of the tree against the sky. That might be a step forward. So maybe if we were to, maybe with levels, like raise the levels of the background. So it would explain the shade we're in. And that atmospheric color that you're using, you need to use it on all of the areas that feel very muddy. So we're talking the gold here, the hair a little bit. I'm just going to try to get rid of the extra yellow in there, because if it's an alien environment wherein we have purple dominating, I don't think yellow would even exist in that world. If it was a purple atmosphere that was always purple, I don't think the colors would work very well. I don't think you'd have the total rainbow accessible to your eyes, or the way your eyes developed. But anyway, I'm not going to go into the colors too much, because lately I've just been telling myself to just stop at the fundamentals. The creative stuff is all up to you. I'm not crazy about the colors because they feel very off. Because something about them is not harmonized. You haven't chosen an atmospheric tone that is unified. She also looks like she is very, very aging differently at different parts of her body. So her breasts look very old, but the rest of her body looks kind of not that old. And so I'm just giving the breasts some perkiness because they were really going down. And considering how muscular she is, it doesn't match. All right, so I'm just making the breast take the shape, or the shirt take the shape of the breasts, or give her more of that defined feminine shape. If this is not a man, I'm very confused. But I think it is if this is not a woman, I'm sorry. If this is not a woman and a man, I'm very confused. I think it is a woman though, from what I can tell. And, oops, filter, liquefy. And I'm just pushing in the rest. So I hope you understand what I mean about the arm. I hope you understand what I mean about the colors. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the colors. I'm just going to throw down a quick blue filter over everything. And I think what that's going to do is dull down the yellows. And also, you could also mess around with the curves. Let's make the blue go up. So you can make it feel a little bit more blue. I know there's a lot of blue in there already, but it'll move us away from whatever brown you've got going on. And then move the green down a little bit so that we can have a yellow that is in the version of this galaxy. Or this, this solar system. And maybe make the red go up just a bit, just to make up for the missing. Actually, I'm a little worried about that. Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, so let's flatten the image and go back to before I did the levels. And paste the levels in. So we got that saturation back. We're moving away from those earthy greens that could only really happen on Earth in an atmosphere that allows green to come through, which is a yellow, light, sunlit, blue sky atmosphere. Green is the combination of those two, and so it makes sense that it's the dominant color in our atmosphere, or in our matter, and we can see it, and it's a beautiful, happy color. Looks happy and warms, looks happy and cools. Doesn't feel like this is the kind of environment we're looking at here. It feels like everything is blue in this world. And so that's why I'm saying the colors you picked are outside of what we humans think of as normal. And so it's hard to decide where to go from there. So before, after. So slight changes, but they get rid of some of those confusion points in the painting, which is where you had the arm, the way that far arm looked tiny, underdeveloped, almost morphed, or mutated to be small and have a large arm on the other side. So the arms sort of look like they're almost the same size now. I forgot about this elbow right here. Oops. Okay, and the gesture and the way she's standing is nice and simplified, because if she was doing something with both arms, this breast would be hidden a little bit, as we saw here when I messed around with that. And the colors are a little bit more balanced now. They feel a little bit more on the side of the blue of the world. So if she's on an alien planet, if she's not on an alien planet, like if she is from here, from Earth, there needs to be like some major changes, right? But it felt like it was an alien planet that you were painting because of the blues and stuff like that, and the pink in the sky. Always start with a realistic sky color. Write that back to me. If you're confused about your environment, start with a realistic sky color. Yes, we've seen pink skies, but they don't change the way the green works in our world. It's still a little bit green right up until sunset. Maybe it's more of a cool green. So those are the changes. You did amazing. You did a lot of really great detail, but you camouflaged all the detail with some awkward anatomy. So make sure you reference the anatomy properly. And Portrait Studio is great for that. It's great for building references. So if you want Portrait Studio, you can purchase it. It's also on sale. You just go to istebrak.com and then go to the store. If you want to submit your work for critique, I critiqued all the pieces today for free. And the community challenge is officially live. Check out the headlines on the, or like the highlights on the community page for the resource pack. So usually when I submit a community challenge, I write out a narrative, I give you the resources, I give you the screenshots. So I'm going to make camera angle screenshots for you guys and snapshot them for the references for your community challenge. So you'll have to use them to submit your work, and that'll all be uploaded. All the information you need, everything that you might be confused about, will be answered in the bulletin that I'll post for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming here. If you guys want to support me and what I do, please consider joining me as an apprentice on Patreon. You can submit your work, you get assignments, you get rewards, but there are also lower tiers if you want to pledge for less. Thank you all. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.